Imposter syndrome is the experience of debilitating doubt of skill and talent, despite evidence of success. While a common symptom of high achievers and perfectionists, imposter syndrome is frequently the consequence of discrimination, bias, stereotypes, racism, and elitism. Imposters dwell in a persistent fear of being exposed as incompetent or inadequate, a fear that triggers self-doubt, anxiety, burnout, stalled growth, externalization of success, and avoidance. To disrupt this phenomenon for our students, we are asking graduates to share stories from college and career to normalize the experience. This is one of our conversations.
Part 2.
So you graduated. I'm jumping forward now. You had an experience at Howard that was impactful.
Absolutely. It was
Yeah.
powerful. It was
And-
powerful. It was rich. It was fun.
And you graduated with a degree in what?
English
English,
and minor in public relations.
public relations. So kind of following some of the passions you found here at Lincoln.
Yeah.
The public speaking, the using your voice, the expressing yourself through
Sure, yeah.
writing art, stuff like that.
So I was
Okay.
actually on the path to go to law school.
Okay.
I wanted to practice educational law because I wanted to be an educational advocate for students who I felt were not receiving the proper education.
Some of the issues we just talked about, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that job really existed. Like I thought I was going to make it up in my head. And then I've never said this out loud, but I think imposter syndrome and a lack of faith in the justice system caused me to change my mind at the last minute and not go to law school.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like that I have to say this, but that seems to be the norm, particularly for women with degrees,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's Ed Mohler's wife
Yes.
graduated and was an engineer for a while and never felt as though she fit in.
Wow.
Questioned her
I never knew
belonging in that,
about her.
and then ended up switching into education. Yeah,
I
similar
never knew
experience.
that about her.
Yeah,
So yeah, I then made that transition, applied to San Diego State
like a credential program.
credential
something here?
program. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I made the transition, came back home. Southeast, I thought Southeast San Diego was hood. Southeast San Diego really is not hood compared to like hoods around the country. So I learned that in DC. Like
Okay.
it's real hood in DC. So it was time. Like, I was like, man, this is a lot. I'm going back to San Diego where it's like paradise compared to
Right.
up there.
Did you have a desire, like intentionally, to come back to Lincoln, to possibly teach at Lincoln, or was just a matter of circumstance?
Maybe at the beginning, no, because it was so fresh and I was like partially ashamed that I wasn't going to law school. Because when you leave high school and people say, what are you going to be? What are you going to do? And then you change your mind, people start making assumptions, right? It's like, well, did she change her mind because she's not good enough? Did she change her mind because she couldn't pass the LSAT? And so I was feeling some type of way. So I don't think I was in a hurry to come back to Lincoln. And it wasn't until during my credential program, then, the reopening and there's like this new vision. And I was thinking like, do I want to go back there? And I'm a spiritual person. I didn't grow up in church, but I was big on prayer. And that was something that I really developed during my time at Howard. And so I prayed about it and I was like, yeah, like I'm going back. Like, let's see if you could make a difference. And so that's how I made the decision to come back.
What was it like?
Amazing.
Brand new Lincoln, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Still a little bit of the same old Lincoln, but
the old Lincoln is a spiritual thing. So it doesn't matter what the building is. If you guys told me the new Lincoln was going to be down at Food for Less, I would still have that same feeling like, okay, let's rock with it. Let's go see what it is. So
yeah, it's a spirit, not a building. Right?
yeah, absolutely. It's totally spiritual. So I was super excited about that. And when I told my high school principal from Lincoln, Mr. Bass, that I was going to go into the teaching program and I was going to be a teacher, he directly said to me, "Oh, you're going to be the principal of Lincoln one day." And I was
Don't
like,
get me started.
well, like, can I be a teacher first? And he goes, "Oh yeah, like yeah, you'll be a teacher." And then you're so that type of encouragement, if
Uh-huh.
you will, like that manifesting of that energy. Again, going back to the Lincoln experience, like he gave me that. He's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I think it's great you're going to be a teacher. Now let's also talk about what your future is beyond that. And so absolutely, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a teacher.
Okay, I got to ask you this since you kind of brought it up. Um, I know a little bit about your time before Lincoln, and read did some research.
Okay.
Um, and I want to talk to you about like mentors and the importance of mentors in your experience,
Yeah.
because I see you as a mentor. Since I've known you, you've been a mentor
Oh,
to
thank you.
staff members, to
Yeah.
students, to teachers. Now you're up at the district level. Same sort of thing. Seeing you back on this campus, immediately you kind of fit right back into that role.
Yeah.
So, could you talk to me a little bit about some of the mentors you had and just the idea of mentorship, having
Yeah.
someone that you can ask the questions to?
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I think if I had to think back to like at what point in my life did I start having mentors, even though I didn't know what it was,
Right, exactly.
right? I would say my first grade teacher was my mentor.
Okay.
My first
In
grade
what way?
teacher,
Yeah. Go ahead.
because I remember, and you know, when you're in first grade, you're little. So I remember being little, and I remember her like squatting down to talk to me, to engage with me, to check in with me, because my home life was
Hmm.
shitty. Um, and
So it
school,
sounds to me like it's just a relationship based on trust.
absolutely, because so school was my safe space.
Yes. I
And
understand that
at
one.
some point, I don't know when, but she asked if she could take me to church. And she broke down all the rules. She broke down all the expectations. And she's like, you better be. And I lived in John Adams off of Federal. And so she goes, you're down there on that corner at this time. And if you're not there, you're going to get left. Right. Like she's very clear structure expectations.
Mhm.
And I remember getting dressed up. My mom said yes. I don't know why my mom said yes. My mom said yes to a lot of things that turned out to be blessings for me. Like she didn't block my blessing. So, anyways, mom is like yes. And then, so she took me to church, and she stayed. She planted a seed. That to me is mentoring.
Okay.
She planted a seed that stayed with me throughout my entire life, even till today. And you want to hear something funny? My first grade teacher is John Ross's mother. And
Wow.
we
Okay.
worked with John Ross
Right, right.
together,
He was a principal here for
right?
a little
He was
while.
a principal here for a little while.
He was
And
a teacher here for a
and a
little while.
teacher, I didn't
Dean,
know
yeah.
that was his mom.
Oh, wow.
So when I started working here, because we don't get to know our teachers' personal lives, right?
Right.
So when I remember being here and we're doing like getting to know each other, staff, and he goes, I know who you are. And I'm like, you do? And he goes, yeah, like my mom was your first grade teacher and she used to come home and talk about you all the time. So I was
Just
like,
another
oh my
example of the
God.
power
So
of community, right?
yes, right.
crazy.
So Miss Ross is my first mentor. And then I've been fortunate throughout my life to have people, I like to call them my guardian angels, but I've had people like that throughout my entire life who just planted seeds, right? Like,
Right.
and each seed was unique and different and has contributed to the woman that I am today. And I guess I'm fortunate that many of them were educators because some people had some horrible experiences as educators. I had one, but even compared to other people, it wasn't that horrible. It was horrible because I thought the teacher sucked. I thought the teacher had a horrible personality, but other kids seemed to love the horribleness. But most of my educators, right? Like they planted these seeds, and then I had people in the community who mentored me, um, a couple of family members. And so I just feel like I am truly an example of it takes a village.
Right.
Like I was raised by Southeast San Diego. And I could give you a list of like 15 people who, without the shadow of a doubt, had they not been a part of my life and planted a seed, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today.
I think it was your an interview you did when you were middle school principal of the year, where you said something to the effect of your success is really the culmination of all these other experiences
Yeah.
and mentors and stuff that you've had. Yeah.
Right here in Southeast. It's far north is Webster Elementary, so that's not very far,
hmm
right? And it stops right here at Lincoln, and then like everything in between.
Is that something you would recommend to like current Lincoln students who may feel as though this is just not their thing? The idea of finding someone to latch on to, someone to.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk, to give you a little background, there's a lot of talk about finding resources
Mm,
and getting involved
yeah.
in the outside of classroom stuff. Um, to be honest, on this campus, I mean, the 10, 15 years, the Hive hasn't felt so alive. You go to football games, it's used to be bleachers on both sides were full, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit less of that. And so there's a lot of I blame technology
Okay.
because there's a lot of students that are just disengaged and
Yeah.
on their phones. And so
Mhm.
the idea of communicating and
Yeah.
just that human connection is dwindling. Yet for you, it seems to be like an essential part of your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I um I was devastated when we reopened Lincoln and I didn't see the community presence that I was used to seeing when I was a student at Lincoln.
hmm
And it was here, but it didn't feel the same. And then in talking to different people around the community, I would hear things like, I've been trying to get onto campus, but
Oh,
I
interesting.
can't.
Yeah.
And so I blame systems for that, right? I don't blame no one particular person. I blame systems. Um, we have rules and procedures and protocols for reasons. And a
Absolutely.
lot of times the intention is to protect students, protect the district, right? Protect
Absolutely. Absolutely.
administrators. However, I think that there needs to be an intentionality around really giving a school site what it needs and then figuring out what in the system needs to be adjusted to make it happen. And because of the uniqueness of the Lincoln Park community, what might work for another school in another community might not work for Lincoln. And so then the question is, well, what is the system doing to have those conversations so that it's not a one size fits all? Because I remember organizations being present on the campus in volunteer capacities. They were running groups. I
hmm
got my first job when I was 16 because of Project New Village, which was a local nonprofit. The neighborhood house was
Right.
really involved. The local NAACP was really involved. Like Lincoln was a true community school. Now I know we have community schools
Right.
now,
Right.
right? And that sounds
That
great.
title is a little
That
bit different.
title is a little different. When
Yeah.
I say community school, I mean a school that is for the community, by the community, engaging the community, that sort of thing. And
I didn't mean to cut you off, sorry.
it's okay.
But I didn't mean to suggest that those kinds of things aren't currently happening here
Hmm. Hmm.
because there is a lot of student to profession, student to community
Okay.
type connections. We do have a lot of programs on campus
Okay.
that are providing supports for students and are present on
Okay.
campus. And yet there still seems to be a disconnect
With the
with
students.
students, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to figure out a way to get students to look up
Hmm.
and to engage and become a part of all that's
Sure.
here.
Hmm.
Because, like, again,
Hmm.
it seems to be a very
Yeah.
important part of all the guests that we've had on this show that have gone
Yeah.
on to be successful.
Sure.
It's all about the connections that they're making with people.
Yeah. Yeah. In that case, yes, you're right. I too see technology being a part of the
Mm.
issue and how we as a collective people have just allowed interpersonal skills to not be like a priority because a lot of
Yeah.
it is keep yourself busy, keep yourself occupied. And putting that responsibility on young people to entertain themselves and occupy themselves.
Has it been
Has
your
been a
your
deficit.
experience in college and in the professional world that those interpersonal skills are just as valuable and
Oh, yeah.
necessary as
They're valuable and necessary and lacking
and lacking?
with students and adults.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Students and adults.
Interesting.
And I'm a parent of a teenager, and I see it and I struggle with it.
So remember when we first, before we got started, we were talking about why I'm loving this podcast and how it's helping me grow. It's little conversations like this that just make me sort of reconsider what's happening in the classroom, what I see on a daily basis
Absolutely.
in a different way.
Absolutely.
So, jump back into the story of Precious. At Lincoln High School, how long were you a teacher here?
8 years.
8 years. And during that time, had gone back to school to get the master's, right? That was at San Diego State?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then what did you do with that?
I stayed here and decided to go back to school. And that's when I got my admin credential
Admin
after
credential.
that. And even then, I thought maybe I'll just do trying to think what were the options back then. But I still didn't think about being a principal. It was just more about being a teacher leader, a resource teacher, or something like that. I actually thought I would stay at Lincoln for forever. I didn't see myself. I couldn't imagine myself being at any other school. I just felt like I was where I needed to be at the time. And
Can I ask you then why? And I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
There's
why
in my
left
personal
or
experience.
why I didn't want to leave. Because there's two different answers.
I think I understand why you didn't want to leave. I think you've established.
Okay.
You've established.
That part is clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there's your blood's running green, right?
Yeah.
That whole idea.
Exactly.
And I don't mean to get personal. If you don't name names or stuff like that, was it you just found something that was right, that wasn't Lincoln, or was it?
No, the culture and the feeling of being here shifted.
Okay.
The safety that I talked about feeling when I was a student and then I felt when I was a teacher here kind of went out the window.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
And I no longer felt safe here. And it was such a struggle. I went to therapy over it. And I talked to my therapist about what should I do? I'm not feeling happy. I thought this was my purpose. And my therapist encouraged me to go have some difficult conversations with people on campus. So I did that. I'm I'm put my big girl panties on. I'm from Southeast. I can do this. But I found myself crying every day. And no one directly did anything to hurt me. But I felt like the community was hurt. The school community was hurting.
I think that's pretty fair. I think it's a pretty fair.
And I felt so weak and so vulnerable and helpless. And I thought, then it's time for me to go. This is my calling, right? Yeah. It's time for me to leave.
If I remember correctly, that's about the same time where I sort of escaped into my classroom.
Yeah.
Which is the one place I did feel safe.
Right. Because we used to be encompassed, right? We didn't have a closed door policy.
Right.
We would visit each other's classrooms. Kids were in our classrooms at lunch. We'd be out helping. That was our spirit. That's what we did. And so what you're saying is around that same time that you're closing the door, me and the kids are going to be safe in here. Yep. And then I was exit stage left or right. I don't know on theater if you go left or right. But it all happened around the same time. So we know what it was, right? Yeah. We know who, we know whatever. And that's what it was. And I went on 11 job interviews.
I'm not mad at you anymore, just to let you know.
You're not? Okay,
I understand now. I fully understand now. Yeah.
Thank you. It was a tough choice.
I bet.
It's like leaving your family.
Yeah.
And
for all the students listening, I hope you're really paying attention here. It doesn't get easier right? The decisions you have to make, the conversations you have to have,
Mm-hmm.
the learning that goes on. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah. And what's sad about that is the safety that I didn't feel had nothing to do with the stereotype of Lincoln not being safe. It had nothing to do with violence or gangs or students or none of that. It was a psychological safety,
yeah. Thank you for
right?
clarifying that
It was a
for
psychological
listeners.
safety
Yeah.
that really is impacted more by adults than the students. And I had just had Morgan, and I was like, I can't be crying every day, like about work. Like, I just knew it wasn't healthy for me. And then the physical and psychological stress that I was under. And then a couple months later, I was diagnosed with systemic lupus.
Hmm.
And I've never been able to bounce back from that. And I think my body was just under so much physical, emotional, and mental stress, that my body started attacking itself, which is what lupus does.
Yeah.
And I had to leave for my safety and my health, my psychological safety and my health.
You didn't choose something that would, at least from my understanding, be easier, right? The stresses of being a principal seem to me to be as heavy, right? If not more than being a teacher in a classroom. So explain that to me. You went from classroom teacher, leader, Lincoln High School, to interviews, and your first principalship was at Bell?
Yes. So I was associate principal first
Associate principal at Bell. Okay.
for a year and a half, and then became the principal. But you don't know what you don't know. So I
I
didn't
think
know.
most people know that a principal is not going to be an easy job for someone emotionally or psychologically.
I didn't know that.
You're going to have to deal with personalities all day long.
But we did that as teachers here. Like, that's
Kids are different.
no, but
Kids are
we.
easy.
I didn't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know
Fair
what
enough.
to tell you.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Well, you managed it. You seem to do really well. You got middle school principal of the year.
Yeah, I
So-
did. But again, maybe if it feels right, right, I'm willing to try it. If I feel like I'm giving back to the community, I'm willing to try it. I went through to school, and so I needed to experience a different level of leadership. So it was bound to happen eventually. But it never dawned on me that I was signing up for a job that was more stressful. That never crossed my mind.
Did it feel more stressful? Like once you got into it?
No, not at first.
Is there something
It's
about
it's like having a different set of problems. There's problems, but it's like it's just
Okay.
different, not harder.
that makes sense? And I think there might be, correct me if I'm wrong, but there might be like a level of like ownership. Like I'm leading this program. This is
Sure, maybe.
versus like being a soldier
Yeah.
or following someone else's
Yeah.
idea and plan.
And it's also about purpose. Like, you have to be clear about why. Like, some people go into principalship administration because they want to be in control. They want to have power. They want to have authority. They want to tell people what to do. That wasn't my purpose. My purpose was to be in community with a group of people and help change or grow the culture of a campus. So I remember you all used to say, like, Precious is going over into the dark side. Not that you specifically said that,
Thank you. I would.
but our teacher colleagues were like, oh, Precious is going over into the dark side. And I was thinking, no, like, I'm bringing light. Like, somebody's got to do it. Like, my purpose is clear.
Yeah, it's like everything that you have experienced in your life up to that point through the community when you were at elementary school, community at Lincoln, community at Howard, new community here at Lincoln. The mentality is still the same.
Yeah, I wanted to take that now to the next level, right? Because respectfully, we were segregated here in the Center for Social Justice. There were things happening in other parts of the campus that we weren't privy to, or we were, and we were like, we don't want to be a part of that, or we're glad whatever. So I wanted to take it school wide. Like I kept thinking to myself, what would Lincoln be like if the Center for Social Justice was the school? What would it look like? What would it feel like? How can I coach and work with educators to get them not to think like me, but just be in community with me? And so that really was my purpose. I never thought about how hard the job could be and how draining the job can be. I only felt that way more recently. Like, damn, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Because even people ask, like, how did you do it for 13 years? Well, because it wasn't a job, it was a calling for me, it was a passion.
I feel the same way with being a
Right.
teacher.
And
Yeah.
that's what I did. I just leaned in and I did what I did. And then once I got to the point where physically, my body was like, enough is enough. Like, you need to take a step back. You need to chill out. And I kept saying, okay, I'm going to chill out. My staff was like, Precious, you need to chill out, all because of my health. But then I realized I can't chill out right now. I think it might be time for a transition. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know what I was going to do. I could not imagine myself being the principal of any other school in San Diego. So I prayed about it. And then an opportunity presented itself for me to interview for a job in HR.
How's that going?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm learning a lot.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I've learned about my work in social justice is that perspective matters, context matters. And because I've been on the other side for 19 years, HR, I was like, what are they doing over there? Even when I accepted the job, my daughter, was like, Mom, you're going to work for the ops. Morgan's very like in tune with the world and opinionated. So she was like, you're going to work with the ops.
I wonder where she gets that one.
And I was like,
in tune with the world.
I thought about it and I was like, dang, has my relationship with HR been that bad? But it wasn't just me. It was, educators, everybody. It's like, what is going on in HR? And so I recognize that, again, in order for me to really be a part of the community, I need to understand the community. And in this case, the community I'm talking about would be San Diego Unified. And I can't totally understand if I don't understand the different perspectives. So that was my mindset. And so I'm learning some things. And I'm trying to help make a difference and be of service.
Okay.
From a different capacity. I'm still thinking about service to community, to students and families and staff.
Is there a level of imposter syndrome at that level that you're experiencing?
Yes. Oh my God, yes. And I actually am mature enough in my career that I've said that out loud at least 30 times.
Okay.
That I've experienced.
So for students listening, we're talking about imposters at the high school level, not fitting in with trends or popular culture or whatever. We're talking about imposter at the college level. We're talking about imposter in grad school, right?
Absolutely.
And then now we're talking professional world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what kinds of things are you experiencing that would suggest imposter?
Well, I think just in general, I entered the space as an outsider. Right? When you're new to a school, if you're new to a department, if you're new to a district, you are an outsider. And I think
so. Outsider in that, I mean, because you're from the district though.
Yeah.
So outsider as in
the department. HR outsider, central office outsider.
Got you. You're from the classroom, not the office.
You're one of them.
Got you. Okay.
Right.
So we're not even talking gender, race, age, none of that kind of stuff. This is just experiential imposter syndrome. Your experience is different than mine.
Yes.
Got you. Okay.
Yes. So that's one way in which I experience it. There are other Blacks in the department. But when you don't know their story, right? Going back to a little bit earlier, I don't know how many of them are from a Southeast or like a Southeast, right? And so those are wonderings that played in my head. Like, am I too hood? Especially when I show up in my authentic self. I know how to code switch. Remember we did lessons
Exactly.
on code
Absolutely. Yeah,
switching, right?
absolutely.
But
I'm
when
doing it
I
right now, trying to sound professional.
are you okay? Yeah, me too. But the reality is, right? That's who I am in my authentic self, and most of the people that I've worked with in the district for the past 19 years have seen my authentic self.
Okay. But HR hasn't.
No. Well, I've been there a year now, so a couple of them have.
Okay, yeah,
And so that's my little joke. Like, they not ready. Like
yeah.
they're not ready for Precious. They know Dr. Hubbard. That's the crazy thing. And that's
Okay.
why I told you just call me Precious when we're
Right,
in
right.
this space. Because yeah, like they met Dr. Hubbard. And so now they're getting to know Precious, which is the whole me, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
holistic me. And so, you know how we say like your government name. When they know your government name, they know that side of you, then they know the real you. So there's that component. But HR also has some technical components that I don't have a lot of experience in.
Mhm.
And so learning those things, making mistakes, and feeling like it's okay, it's safe for me to make mistakes, and
That
just
takes a
not
lot,
knowing
yeah.
in the beginning if that's okay, right? Like, so I worried about those things. Do I really belong here? Am I wanted here? Is there someone else that they wanted or someone else who they thought would be better at the job? All of those are very real questions that I've asked myself repeatedly.
And yet, you show up every day.
Yeah, of course. I have to. Even working with school sites in other communities, because I was born and raised here, my entire career has been here. I mean, you've got Lincoln and you've got Bell. And I remember interviewing for like schools in Poway. I shouldn't have did that, but I did. I didn't really want to work in Poway, but I did interview, and the feedback that they gave one of my references is that they were concerned that I've only worked in one part of town. Now, did it come out that nicely? I don't know, but
Right,
that
right,
was the
right.
feedback.
I got you.
So when
Yeah.
I went to work in HR, I kept thinking, like, what if I have to work with schools in La Jolla or Point Loma? Are they going to look at me and respect me the same as a Black woman from, not necessarily from Southeast being raised, but everyone knows that I've only worked at Lincoln and
Right.
Bell. So am I good enough to work with them and provide service to them? So those were wonderings that I had.
As an outsider, listening to the whole story today, it's like I can understand that feeling. I kind of would expect that feeling, but there's also, as part of this narrative, there's a story of like identity and confidence and security with who you are, right? That makes me think it's not going to matter.
Mm.
You're not going to let that slow you down, right? You're going to go to that school and you're going to interview and you're going to be your authentic self,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Maybe not the hood, but you're going to be Precious, right? You're going to be Dr. Hubbard. And there's a security in that. And it seems to me, like from what I'm hearing today, that you even found that kind of identity, that confidence here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So my Avid teacher, she was probably like 5'3", and she was real loud, short Black woman. And I don't think she fit in with all the other teachers on the campus, but that didn't stop her, right? Like, that didn't stop her from being her. Her name was Janet Singleton. And I learned a lot from her because she was determined and she was fierce. She was funny, and she used to tell her story in teaching us how to tell our story. And that was inspirational. And that's actually how I modeled my teaching off of what I learned from her. And we know that there were benefits, because then we end up with like the Crystal Morgans of the world, right? Who was my student here at Lincoln. I low key kind of adopted her. Till this day, she still calls me mom. Went to her wedding. She and her baby came. Like, so there's that legacy again. So I'm going back to Janet Singleton. Sorry, I digress. So Miss Singleton used to tell me, you need to keep your head up high. She used to tell me, when you get up, you look in the mirror and you tell yourself, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're capable. And I had Avid for 4 years. So, and people called her crazy. So I said, well, I had craziness for 4 years. But that craziness was like amazing. And it was inspirational because she was an unstoppable lady. And I swear at that time she was like 50. So to see her energy.
I got a full understanding of that.
Yeah.
Being 50 and still having energy.
And not short though.
Oh,
like she
okay.
literally.
Okay, I got you.
She was like, but her personality was bigger than life,
yeah.
right?
That's a struggle when you're getting older. It's I'm realizing that struggle is what I'm trying to say.
Well, me too. Something happened after I turned 40. The movement, the aches, the pains, all that good stuff. But
right. So you're saying, I mean, again, this is back to the same idea. Like she refused. That she may not have gotten along with other staff members, whatever reason, but she refused to be something other than who she was.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it seems that you're doing the same thing. Yes, there's a bit of trying to fit in and the code switching until you become familiar, but you're never forgetting that your authentic self, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I want students from Lincoln to know is that your authentic self is good enough.
Absolutely.
You can code switch to make life easier in situations, right?
Yeah.
But your authentic self is valuable and good enough.
Yeah. And not only that, but your authentic self still requires room for improvement. Because sometimes I think if we say to them, just be yourself, then when it comes time to giving them any feedback, they don't want to hear it because it's like, well, I'm just being myself. I deal with it.
Right. That's true.
You still have to be open and ready for feedback and improvement. And I think the maturity that comes with that is the shared responsibility and shared accountability. Because everything that I do, it's not just about me. It's about the community that I serve. Yeah. It's about my family. It's about... there's got to be some like introspective, reflective type stuff.
Absolutely. Who am I and what am I a part of?
Yep.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah. I'm part of a bigger whole.
And that's what makes you authentic is your realization of that. That it's not just you and...
It's not just you in the world. It's not. Like
shout out Tupac.
Yeah. Oh my God, don't get me started. Because I'll never forget when we did a Rose That Grew from Concrete as part of our lesson, when we did College Board, right? We did him, Luis. I felt like there was a third artist.
Rodriguez, is that his name? Always Running.
Yes, Always Running.
Always Running,
right? The other side of the tracks, we talked about. So like all those things, we did because we had a sense of responsibility to the community. Like, I would imagine that's part of the reason you stayed. I guess I've never asked you, like, Chris, why are you still here, right? But if anyone asked me, why do you think Chris Deere is still at Lincoln? It's because Chris has accepted the fact that who he is bigger than himself. Even though you weren't raised in the community, right, and you may not have any personal ties prior to teaching here, although, you were at O'Farrell, but you have a commitment to this community. Your life, even though you have a grandbaby now, is bigger than just you. And I don't know what drives you. I don't know what motivates you. I don't know where this commitment to Southeast comes from, but you have accepted your role in this collective responsibility.
That's hard to hear. It's nice to hear. Do you remember before I met you, I knew you because I saw your face on the side of the Food for Less.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that banner that was hanging there?
I do. It's in my grandpa's garage.
Is it? Okay.
Folded up.
So I remember seeing that, and I remember thinking, I want to be that important to the community.
Oh.
And I told you that I want to be on the side of Food for Less one day, and I think it was interpreted as like, oh, he wants to show them. It wasn't one of those things. It was like, I want to matter.
Yeah.
I want to matter.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And talking about authenticity, that's one thing I love about Lincoln High School. That's one thing I love about Southeast is the people here are real.
Yeah.
Not to say that students north of the 8 don't have issues and concerns and stuff, but the experiences here are like tangibly, viscerally real, right? And for me, that makes it a little bit more meaningful.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, so yeah.
Yeah.
You articulated what I have been thinking and haven't articulated, I don't think ever.
Yeah, you matter. You totally matter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I should probably matter to my daughter and my granddaughter and my wife
Yeah.
as much.
And you do. You know, we just have a funky way sometimes of showing people.
This is like therapy
that they
for me now.
matter.
How did this turn into
I
therapy
know.
for me? What?
Because we're in a relation.
Yeah.
We love each other, right? And I know people use love like it's a dirty word, but the amount of love that we had for each other to get each other through some very difficult times when we taught here at Lincoln, it goes back to the planting of the seeds. Like you planted a seed during our time together, right? Ed Moeller planted a seed for me. Eric Nielsen planted a seed for me. And that seed was, you got this, Precious. Like no matter what happens. And so I didn't mean to even allude that because some of us left Lincoln, we didn't have that same
Right.
shared responsibility or collective responsibility and accountability. It just meant that we all got it. And then now it was time to do the same thing somewhere else, because community is about growing and going, or going and growing, however you want to look at it. And I was having a conversation with my colleague about this recently, because my colleague is struggling with, like, do I stay or do I go? And I said, at some point, you got to go.
This will be good for students to hear too. They're struggling with, do I
Right?
go away to school? Do I
Yeah,
stay?
no,
kind of
you
thing right now
gotta
too,
you
right?
gotta go to grow. Some people can stand still and grow, but most people have to go to grow. And so you all planted a seed in me that said, listen, if you can handle this, we got this. It's time for you to go so that you can grow. And that's what I had to do. And so respectfully, you stayed to grow, but that doesn't mean that you're any less important than those of us who go to grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I don't
no,
feel like
yeah.
that's
I
like
think-
I'm not a poet, or a rapper. I don't have bars like that, but right. And so you matter in so many ways, and maybe that's part of the deficit of our community, is that we don't do a good job of letting people know that they matter, right? It's not about the job title. It's not about your credentials, if you will, right? Your degrees. But it's about your action towards humanity. And what you've offered students and families is undeniable. Like, you're living in your purpose, Christier.
Yeah.
Even though it may not feel like it sometimes, and it may feel tough, but you're living in your purpose. You're planting seeds. Therefore, you matter just as much as the rest of us. And now, as a white man in this space, and maybe that's like a whole nother therapy session we can schedule, what that
It
feels
is.
like. But I'm talking about you as a human being. You matter. Because you've made a difference in the lives of students, colleagues, community members, right? Nobody else can do what Christier has done.
You see me getting anxious here now? Yeah. This is uncomfortable for me to hear, but I really appreciate it,
Yeah.
hearing it. And the teacher in me right now wants to turn this back to students and lessons that students can learn from this, right?
Sure.
Like, you and I both, we found a passion, a talent even,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Early, and we just followed it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Endless pursuit, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
really made you. I really
I'm
messed you up,
stumped
huh?
now. You did. You kind of beat me up.
Yeah.
Don't
I'm
laugh.
sorry.
Stop it. I want to just,
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
But we used to have lunchtime talks,
Yeah.
right? And you'd sit there with your guitar or ukulele.
Yep.
Which
Guitar.
one? A guitar.
Mhm.
And that was your coping mechanism. And then you bounce back. Like
See?
you didn't give up. You didn't quit. That's the lesson for our students.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree
You
with
don't
you.
give up. You don't quit. You sit with those difficult feelings and emotions because they're going to be there for the rest of our life.
And
Life it doesn't get any easier.
I'm not a poet or a rapper either, but I've heard enough music to know that there's beauty in that struggle.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right? Sitting there and dealing with it and working through it.
Yeah.
Whatever the issue is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You deal with it, and that is where I think you build strength. The younger generation, I was having this conversation with a group of colleagues in recruitment, job recruitment.
She's still being a mentor right now.
Right, job recruitment. And they're saying the young people are...
But okay, job recruitment.
Young people are quitting, right? Their jobs more frequently, or they're not even applying for jobs. Like they're just giving up too quickly.
I see kids in the classroom. If they do it once and it's not right, I'm done.
It's like I'm done.
I'm done. No,
I'm not
sit and struggle with it.
You got to sit and struggle with it. It's a lost art. It's how, like our ancestors did it, regardless of your ethnicity.
Out of necessity, right?
Absolutely.
They had to build stuff.
And we wouldn't be here today had they not gone through the struggle. And somehow we have to find a way to teach and encourage our young people to sit in the face of adversity, sit in the face of struggle.
Y'all listening?
Right? There's no progress without struggle. I think Frederick Douglass said that. There is no progress without struggle. And so you have to learn how to navigate through the struggle. And I'm telling you, it's a lot easier if you don't do it alone. And that is where that community comes in.
Yeah.
That is what Lincoln provided for many of us. Southeast provided with many of us. Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie didn't do stuff alone, right? So whether it's good or bad, yin yang, like somebody, you got to have somebody. And I think that our young people need us to be honest and tell our story. Because I used to, when I was a principal, I had a guest speaker series. And I, every month I invite people to the campus to talk to kids. And the first thing I said, you can't come and talk to my students unless you're willing to talk about your struggles. Not that I don't care about the wonderful things that you've accomplished, but my students don't want to hear that because they're already looking at you like, oh, well, I'm never going to have that anyway.
They need to see the path.
I want to know, tell me something that you went through. When did you fall flat on your face? What had you crying in the dark? What had you second guessing yourself?
It was that one time I did a podcast called Imposter. That was the struggle. It had me crying when I left here today.
And yet you're back.
Yeah, I'll be here.
And you've had many episodes. And I imagine each episode is a new experience.
All brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Each as uncomfortable as the next.
Yeah. And when
as fulfilling as the next.
You allow us to tell our story in a way that's not scripted, non-judgmental. I mean, you might be judging me.
Oh, I am judging.
Right. But I don't feel judged.
I'm joking.
Right. So it's one of those things where we just need to do more of it. And don't wait on somebody else to do it. Don't wait on somebody else to do it. We need to do this for our young people, for our students, and for each other.
Yeah.
Because we don't stop needing each other just because we're adults, do we? Have you arrived? I haven't arrived yet. I need my community.
Obviously, I haven't arrived yet. I need this community right here, yeah.
Right?
Still figuring this stuff out.
Mm-hmm. And
so give each other some grace.
Yeah.
That we're all working through it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your story.
Of course.
Appreciate you.
Anything for Chris, dear.
Cool. Thank you
very much. I
appreciate
you too.